And so that's kind of the power of what these two things can do to your story. If you can kind of harness how you want your story to feel, the tone, and what the message of your story is, the theme, then, as we say, coupling those things together, you can really create an impactful story that really resonates and lasts with a reader forever.
Yeah. What do I know? I've got a headache and burnt tits.
Activate your energy.
Welcome to the Activated Authors Podcast, a show where we distill the core principles of what it takes to become a happy, healthy, and productive author, no matter what stage of the journey you're at. I'm your host, Daniel Willcocks. I'm an international best-selling author, as well as an author coach, speaker, and creative entrepreneur. But most importantly, I'm a lifelong student of all things productivity, psychology, and human behavior. Thank you for joining me for today's episode. Without further ado, let's dive in. What is up, Activators? And welcome back to another episode of the Activated Authors Podcast with myself, Daniel Willcocks. And here with me every single week is...
the unforgettable...
There we go.
Samantha Frost.
The immemorable...
Now you did it again.
I know. The memorable. But then memorable sounds like an insult. Do you know what I mean? It's just like, well, you're very memorable.
That's why you say the unforgettable.
Yeah. There we go. Unforgettable. How are you, Sam?
My pop shield is in shot.
Dun, dun, dun.
Smooth that out. Sorry about the audio.
Yeah, but isn't that like most of the time when you watch podcasts or video things, they always like deliberately have the mic kind of just in screen here?
That is true, but I'm currently for people that normally watch the podcast rather than listen to it, I'm normally at my desk, but I'm not feeling great because that's apparently just my thing. So I'm currently in bed.
With, if you don't mind me saying, a burn.
With a what?
A burn.
Yes, with a burn. That's not why I'm in bed, but no, that has joined me.
I just wanted to draw attention to people watching the podcast as a makeshift Activate, like the dedication. Because actually, from like sitting on the camera, it looks like part of that top. Like it could be part of that top.
No, I was ready. I had put on my Activated Author shirt, my regular one, the white one with the baseball tee with the blue sleeves. I was ready. I made myself a coffee. And yesterday, I started putting milk in my coffee. I don't normally have milk in my coffee. I'm not a fan of the taste. But I was like, oh, I'll try it with my hazelnut milk because normal dairy makes me feel very ill. So I usually have... like hazelnut milk, and I was like, oh, that's really nice. It's very creamy. So my coffee is now hot because I normally do half with boiling water and then top it up with cold water because I'm extremely impatient, and then I just drink it. I was like, this is nice. I'm gonna sip this, and then my hand sometimes does this thing where it just does this. It like I'm trying to describe them, like it like twitches or flinches or something. And I picked up my coffee and just threw it over my chest and the shirt.
But you're okay?
I mean,
Broadly?
Yeah. It hurt a lot.
Yeah.
Because it was very hot.
Yeah.
And I've got, I don't know if you can really see it. In
just
the shadow,
a lid of it. There
it is. In the shadow, you can see it. Yeah. I threw it on two of my best assets, which I'm a bit annoyed about.
You say about that hand. Oh God, sorry.
I was just going to say, and then I printed out an Activated Authors symbol, cut it out, and I've stapled it to my chest.
Just that dedication, just that attention to detail. For most of the people who listen to the podcast, like no one's going to go to YouTube and check it out. But the people that do watch it on YouTube, they're going to know. They're going to be like, why is she not in Activated Authors uniform? Like,
exactly.
How sloppy are Dan's standards now that he's just letting staff run off willy-nilly in their trackies?
You think that's willy-nilly? I'm wearing stitch pajama bottoms.
I could have got away with that.
Why would I want to?
I'm wearing no pants. No, I haven't. I've got jeans on.
Don't listen to him. He's not. Or if he is wearing jeans, they're very like skin Caucasian, flesh toned and hairy.
You have to go to YouTube to find out. You have to go to YouTube to see it. But that hand twitch thing, like it's horrible when that happens. I had it so years back when I started uni. God bless him, like my grandfather recently passed away, but he had bought me a laptop for uni out of like the last money that he had. And I'd only been at uni like a couple of months, and I'd sat down ready to do some homework, coursework, whatever. Put the laptop on my lap, got a drink, and then it happens, and you have a memory of it happening. But like as I brought my hand up, my hand just went and just tipped the contents onto the laptop. So I mean, luckily everything was fine. I managed to get it sorted, but it freaked me the hell out.
Yeah.
Because it was like I don't know why I did that.
Well, I mean, look, while we're here, I did work experience in an estate agent's.
Me too.
Hey, and the like the kitchen staff room kind of thing was up the stairs. So when people wanted a coffee, they'd get one for everyone, so everyone didn't keep going up and downstairs. And obviously, I was an intern essentially, so I went and got the coffee. I had it on a tray, and I just fell down the stairs with a tray.
You must have been in quite the estate.
Yeah. I had about 6 people's burning coffees and teas all over me. They were like, "Why don't you go home?" And I was like, "Yeah, why don't I?"
Yeah. And this isn't the work experience show, but we'll go over it. In my work experience in the estate agents, I accidentally got a little bit of water onto the conduction point where the kettle meets its base, and it just blew every computer. Like the power just went. So like for about 15-20 minutes, the entire agency went down because of me. Like, sorry, was it 1 sugar or 2? No, you're not having one.
That is unfortunate. Yes, but I described it to Dan as I spilt a cup of karma on myself, because in yesterday's sprint, Stan spilt his coffee
all over my keyboard,
and I was on hilarities. I went to say hilarious, and I fucked that up. I was being very funny about it, and people were enjoying it very much, apart from Dan. And I just kept bringing it up. And then today, karma came and splashed me on the tits.
Straight into it. How has your week been? What have you been working on?
So I've been working on my poetry. I finished kind of the main edits. I'm just going through some kind of half finished poems at the minute, just going through kind of my old notebooks and seeing if there's anything else in there, and if I want to write any extra content. So that was good that I finally got to the end of those.
Hey.
And I have like an official kind of deadline for a proofreader now, so I'm feeling very much like an actual person that does stuff, which is nice.
That's amazing.
So yeah, that's kind of the main thing that I've been working on. It's Thursday. I know it's Thursday, but my God, it still feels like Monday. But yeah, I mean, my week's been fine. Like, been getting on with stuff, really. Like, nothing. Can you hear that?
No.
Okay. Like, a train's going past, and also it sounded like something just emergency braked while a dog yelped.
Well, Zoom is very good at audio suppression. Like, I literally had my dog barking and the doorbell ring earlier. You couldn't hear a word of it.
Yeah, I thought you just walked off.
No, I am known to do this.
Yeah. But yeah, no, it's just been one of those kind of I don't want to say unremarkable, because that sounds so fucking bleak, but like it's just been a solid week. Like nothing exceptionally like extravagantly glamorous has happened. And I've also not, as far as I'm aware anyway, been in the shit. So
nice.
How about you, Mr. Willcocks? How has your week been? Spare no detail, because I didn't, and I need people to think that we both talk as much as each other.
So, well, when did we last speak on this podcast? Thursday. So Thursday evening, had some sprints.
What did
Friday.
you have for dinner? Don't skip over stuff.
Oh, Thursday's dinner. I have no idea. My week. So, as people who listen to this show regularly know, I hit a very intense bout of burnout. I'm still not fully sure that I'm out of it. but I'm doing my best to get out of it. And a lot of that has been doing the typical thing when I get to this point, which is kind of like trying to start from the top and looking down. So, what are my goals? What are the key things that I need to be looking at versus things I want to be looking at? How do I balance those? All that kind of thing. And so I've started journaling again this week, which has been very, very helpful because basically Monday, excuse me, I've got like a burp that's just stuck in my esophagus.
Oh God, I hate that.
Yeah. Trying to talk and it's not coming. So I got a brand new journal. And actually I will say that because I have half finished journals, but there's something about the clean journal.
Oh mate, you are preaching to the choir, the converted, oh my God. I literally, no joke, I was on Amazon today looking for a new Clever Fox planner, even though I'm not even a third of the way through the one I abandoned a while ago.
There you go. Well, so I bought this one, which for people on YouTube, you can see it, but it's Scribbles That Matter.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, I don't really want much of a journal other than like dotted paper and a chance to writing it. But I was really impressed because it was $9.99. It's vegan leather, and like it's just a solid little notebook. It comes with a fine liner, which is always a bonus.
I love a fine liner.
Yeah, and the paper
this
grade.
This isn't an advert, by the way. Just
no, I'm not affiliated or anything. But like,
I think excited by stationery.
Well, I mean, I've bought journals before that are like 20, 30 quid that don't come with a pen.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And this comes with a pen and a little slipcase. So once you finish it, you can pop it in the slipcase and like leave it on your shelf, and it looks quite smart.
Wants a simple, a dust cover and a pen.
Yeah.
You're in.
Yeah, just something to spew thoughts onto. So I spent about 2 hours on Monday just handwriting pages of different things and going through like, the big questions just to kind of realign myself. And certain things bubble to the surface that I need to prioritize. There are things that are sort of sinking down on my priorities list. And I'm really like I've put in. Well, I'll say that because this podcast is about helping writers. So I'll get the book back out. I basically created like a 7-step so far list of key things that I need to be doing.
But you're fine, right? Don't know why it came out.
Fine. It's squeaky. Where's the page gone? So how to set up for success. Step number 1, no, my capacity is full. No more projects until I finish my dinner. And so I've been doing some things this week to try and put boundaries in place, but also to take some stuff off of my shoulders and potentially hand off to other people. Step number 2, boundaries. Speaking of, set boundaries and stick to them. If your plate spills, you know you're on the right track to minimize your workload. Because I think this is something that I struggle with, because if things start to fall off, often we feel like we're failing.
Yes.
And I had this in my old job. And especially when you're under like a manager, like this was a very important lesson to me, because it doesn't necessarily mean that you're failing. It means that you have too much work and you've reached capacity, which is a totally different thing. So at work, I got to a point where, I was working 7 until 6, 5 days a week. And, I had the kiddo that I wanted to get home to.
Yeah.
And my manager was still asking me to do more. And the reason, like, I don't blame him. The reason was because I kept saying yes. And I kept saying I could take this. And if, like, you're not telling someone that your boundaries are there and you need to stop, but they're going to keep giving me work. So I then went to my contracted hours and they started complaining that I was letting work drop. And I'm like, but I can't do any more within the time I've given. Give me more people. Yeah. So we're not even on the fucking question yet. So that's boundaries. Step number 3, scheduled. What can be scheduled will be scheduled.
Yeah.
Pretty.
Oh, yeah.
Step 4, market your shit. You already have a crap load of products, leverage it. Step number 5, leave space. Vacant space is your friend, not your enemy. That goes more into like a personal thing on my side, but like suffice to say, stop swallowing your time with busyness. Step 6, review and reflect. And then just one extra little update. Gratitude and reflection go a long way. And then number 7, find the fun. It's not that I'm not enjoying what I'm doing, but just like as I went to the doctor this week to try and find out more, especially if my hand chosen to say that, like I have, to do this kind of business, in which he suddenly make sure you focus in a totally different direction, which I don't agree with. More tests, but
also self-talk.
Self-talk.
Maybe you should just like give the name and address of your doctor, not in like a docs way, just in a
you've got scissors, a newspaper, and some glue.
Yeah. Listen up.
But yeah, so I don't know. Things are moving forward in the right direction. I don't know. We'll find out.
Dan, just to say, Dan's doctors, the GP stands for generally pointless.
Literally, yeah. What is? We've done that bit already. What's your key takeaway for this week?
My key takeaway is crispy fried shredded beef.
Nice.
Oh God, so good, so good. I mean, I prefer it with chips, which is a bit sacrilegious, but there you go. What about you, Dan?
Oh, the key takeaway. So, at Brayford Keys is a takeaway of Wagamama. You can get a good Wagamama takeaway if you just go through Just Eat. So, yeah. No, my key takeaway is a weird one, which is Trainer's back, and I have fully dived into her album, and I'm fucking loving it.
So your key takeaway is that you love Meghan Trainor.
Yeah, like I loved her first album, and she's come back with a vengeance, and it is marvelous. And Joe, when like you listen to a song and suddenly your day's like a bit brighter.
Mm-hmm. She is one of those artists.
Mm-hmm.
She's Technicolor.
Yeah. I feel like I could tolerate her at a bus station. Do you know what I mean? I feel like I can
all, welcome to the Activated Authors podcast, where we dive deep into the things we're doing. And Dan's key takeaway is he loves Meghan Trainor. I love it. I think my key takeaway this week is probably like a little bit of a bounce off from last week, which was the progress and growth, which is just that like my consistency is mine and it would look different to other people's, and that's okay.
Yeah, my mum's gravy is very different to my nan's gravy.
I bet they're both in piss water.
No, one is piss water. The other one is thick but lumpy.
Oh.
Yeah. Turns out you can't stir as quickly when you get older.
Oh, good. I really hope your family doesn't listen to this.
They don't care.
I'm sure your gravies are lovely.
All right. It's not the first time I've used that as a metaphor. You're as consistent as my nan's gravy. I won't say which nan, but it's very obvious. Woof, woof. So, win from the community this week. We're going to go to Sarah, who has finally discovered that she's writing paranormal, cozy, mystery, and has found her niche.
Yes, she has.
That was a long time coming.
Yeah.
So stick with it. Congrats, Sarah. I was going to say, I don't know. My words are all over the place today. Congrats, Sarah. No, that sounded too aggressive.
It's so aggressive, yeah.
Congrats, Sarah.
Congratulations, Sarah. No, massive congratulations, because that's been like a real point of
contention.
Yeah, there's been a lot of like conflict in her, bless her, trying to find out what it is, and there's been like lots of twists and turns, and so yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Big old congrats.
Damn.
Amazing.
And so into the question.
Congrats,
Sarah.
It's time for the question.
For the question. So, as people will undoubtedly know, oh my freaking Lord, undoubtedly know from...
Going so well. I'm so proud of us.
I'm real trying. I'm doing my best. From the episode title on both the YouTubes and wherever you catch podcasts, we're going to be diving into theme and tone and looking at what is it, how does it work, and why is it important. And the reason we kind of steered towards this is that this was something I really struggled with when I started writing, because it's not necessarily the first thing that you think of when it comes to storytelling. Like, I think people will automatically go to, or most people just go to word choice, like how wordy can I be in my writing? But then, you look at like world building, you look at characters, you kind of touch on plot. Like, theme and tone is very much an afterthought. And I think kind of it should be in the process of learning all the different steps. But it's something that I watched a film fairly recently and had a thought and was like, I feel like this perfectly illustrates how to communicate some of this stuff. So, theme and tone. Do you want to tackle one and I'll tackle the other?
Sure.
Cool. Which one would you like to do?
I don't mind.
Okay. So, simply put, theme is the message of your story. It's a singular line of thoughts, of message, information, stuff.
The message you want to convey.
Yeah, that brings the story around. So, for example, if you look at films like WALL-E, like the Disney film WALL-E, like your theme in that film is about the importance of the environment, because everything about that film, every interaction, every moment with the characters, the setting, the whole like visuals of everything lends towards telling you how important it is to not keep on throwing out rubbish and to, you know, nurture the environment and look after the environment. Like that's the entire message of that story. If you look at something like Lord of the Rings, your theme can simply be good versus evil. You have a good faction, you have a very evil faction, good tribes over evil. So it's kind of, when someone has watched or read, let's do read because this is authors, but when people have read your entire book, what is that sort of key takeaway? What is the global message that they're taking from your story? So that's theme.
Yeah.
Tone.
So tone is the colorscape. It is the feel of your book, how you want it to look in your reader's head. Like, what paint are you using? So, for example, with The Handmaid's Tale, it is an a very, and you say you can't talk today. It's very oppressive and claustrophobic in tone. The colours are very muted, apart from kind of The Handmaid's. And I would say, generally speaking, the different colours that the women are wearing, because they are supposed to stand out, so you can instantly identify, okay, that's a wife, that's a handmaid. Like you know, you're supposed to know what those things are, but that in itself is very oppressive and claustrophobic. So even in those moments of like vivid color, that vivid color is suffocating the women that are wearing it. And then if you look at something like Neverwhere, is very fantastical. There's all of these different elements, but it's also dirty and gritty, and like it has like the classic Gaiman, like everything's a bit like Burton-esque, in feel and tone, and there's like jovial elements to it, and then extremely dark elements, which is then perfectly portrayed in kind of just the picture that he paints of, like, you know, the London below, which is you know, fantastical and gritty and gross and amazing and like vomit inducing. And like I've never seen anything as incredible. So it really is just the difference between the message that you want to tell the reader, and it can be as overt or as like covert as you want. You don't have to shove it down people's throats, down people's throats, but you can. That's your choice. That's your choice as an author. And then tone is the color palette that you want to use.
Yeah, and it's really important, because I think what a lot of people, and you know, myself included in this, when I first started writing, like I wrote a book that had way too many like messages in it. Like I was trying to do too much. And I think while every story can have multiple themes, because if you look at something again, like let's use like just Titanic. This is a very crass example. If you use Titanic, there's the theme there. It's a love story. Essentially, it's Jack and Rose trying to, you know, do their thing and whatnot. But it's also, you know, watch out for icebergs. It's maybe not necessarily a theme, but like, you get what I mean.
Keep your eyes open.
Keep your eyes open.
Don't trust impregnable objects.
But there are always going to be other little sub themes written within your book. Yes. But I think like it's very it helps to know what your overlaying theme is, because that will, as you say, it colors all the interactions with your characters. It helps take the reader on that journey, and it almost, in a way, you can pair it with the character change of your heroes and your villains to complement each other, just to make it more impactful. Like a lot of the times, that message, that's the kind of feeling that you come away with. And I mean, there are so many different themes that you can pick from, and they're not so like there's there's not a definitive list of every single theme, but like just a few to throw out there. Like family can be a theme, finding your identity can be a theme, justice is a theme in a lot of cop films, loneliness, revenge, war. Like there's so many that you can pick from. And it's not something I think you have to be really, really strict to or delve deep into. I think most successful, impactful stories will know what their theme is, and will then be able to deliver that again to sort of color the characters, the interactions, the world building, everything else. And then couple that with a tone, and bam, you have a powerful book.
Well, that's the thing as well. Like you were saying how, theme helps like push characters forward, conversations, interactions within the story, but it helps you as well as an author, particularly like in the midsection where you're starting to feel a little bit lost, a little bit like this is never going to end. And maybe you're kind of almost writing yourself into a corner at points and not quite sure what to do. Much like we talked about before, your why, like when you want to give up, when you get to something like that, it's theme can be a lifeboat for you there. Right. Okay. So what am I actually trying to say? Right. So this fight with the lasagna is probably not necessary. And it could potentially be something that like...
Unless you're writing Garfield.
Yeah. In which case it's pivotal. And then the way tone can help you as well is as your characters change and develop and grow, you can play with the tone. So like we was talking about before with horror films where like particularly things like Scream and stuff like that, they start very bright and then they go very dark, like just the color grading, and also what's going on, and then like towards the end when everything's fine, the color kind of comes back. Well, that's someone like very purposely playing with tone. So you can do that when you are writing. Like if if at the beginning your character's kind of very insular, very meek, the colors could be like muted, beige, like there's lots of that kind of thing. But then as they start to come out of themselves and they grow and they learn who they're supposed to be, then color starts to become more vibrant. As they start to become more vibrant. And it's a really beautiful way to kind of mirror these things. And then also what happens is you start to make your environment a character, which is something you would know a lot about, because as I've said many times, the storm in When Winter Comes is itself a character.
Yes.
And it is that mirroring of things, or sometimes even the stark juxtaposition between the two. Like just jump to film for a second. If you think of Tarantino, like he's known for like upbeat songs going on while like horrific shit is playing out in front of you. That's a very conscious choice, and you can tell it's a conscious choice because it works. Yeah,
for sure. So a couple of examples I have here of how important theme and tone can be. So coming back to Titanic and my very sort of proficient grasp on what this story is.
The first time the ship and the iceberg have sex.
Yeah. And they go down on each other. Hey. So well, one of them does. Selfish. Anyhow, freaking hell. Right. So going back to Titanic. So if we talk about the theme there being primarily love, it's this kind of quite Jack and Rose, kind of dancing around the houses. Everything in that story, it focuses so much on the tension and the build up of those moments and really trying to get them together. And obviously, like that then leads to the tragic ending. The door was wide enough.
It was so wide enough.
But what
just
you can
shift. Sorry.
Such a knob.
I
think you've been here before. But just take
that joke perfectly. I'm so sorry.
So that general theme of love colors that film. That is, what all the action centered around, everything else. You can take almost the exact same plot line, but if you were to change the theme, the message to good versus evil, and just humor me for a minute, Jack is the good, Rose is the evil. Every single one of those interactions suddenly has a different dynamic, has a different feel, and you can capture something slightly different. So it becomes less about will they, won't they, how will they, into like, how does good conquer evil? Like, what is this tension going to pull? How's it going to bring? And if you imagine at the end, you can have a moment where Jack's trying to help all these people onto lifeboats because he's the good, and he's like, women and children first, go, 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 go. And Rose is just like, well, I'm fucking getting out of here. And she tries to like wrestle people off, grab a lifeboat and disappear. Like immediately, with most of the story being the same, just changing that theme changes every single interaction slight enough that that overall conflict just explodes.
And then suddenly the door was never big enough, Jack.
No. Just puts a middle finger through that. I think this was really like sunk in is quite a good example. The School of Rock.
The whole thing changes.
Is a film. Yeah, just literally those and again, as you've kind of said there, even the way that you say something, wanting to get there's money to pay rent to film, but you can do this in but faces, ways, substitute teacher, the way that they say something basically starts a word usage. Everything it's all about rock to that every single thing that goes on through it. He talks and then bouncing rock legends, tone, and this is what we spoke about earlier this week. Because Battle of the Bands rock, you have every single music choice while action's happening is rock.
Clothes, car,
attitude,
bathroom pointer. Attitude, yeah, everything is coloured by rock.
So the tone, arguably, in this example, would be rock, very rock flavored. Imagine now that it's the same film, but it's country. You can have exactly the same plot points. You could have a down and up musician going into a classroom, forming a band, going to a battle of the bands. But dear God, imagine how that film would feel.
Yeah, so different.
A lot calmer. Maybe a bit more melancholy and sad.
Yeah.
Where it be set might be different, like rather than sort of like in a busy city, it might be sort of a bit more out in the rurals.
Yeah, a bit in sticks.
A bit out in
the
the sticks.
A horseshoe pointer instead of the devil horns.
Yeah. And imagine if it was hip hop.
Oh, yeah.
8 Mile.
Yeah. Meet Sister Act.
Yes.
but yeah, no, you're right. You're right. It changes completely. It changes everything, and yet nothing of that film changes.
Yeah.
Like you wouldn't have to change, like you said, the dialogue or anything. It's just the references that are made. And as in like to, you know, the people that he's teaching about stuff, the references that he makes, and obviously the music that they make would be different.
Yeah.
But the rest of it would be unchanged, but it would be completely different.
Yeah. And again, you could do, just as a final example, you could do exactly the same with, let's use Hunger Games for an example, which, as you say, it's quite, it's obviously a dystopian story. It's very sort of like gritty. There's a lot of darker elements because, you know, there's poverty, there's hunger in it. You go to the capital, there's all this sort of gluttonous whatever. But the overall sort of feel of it is quite bleak and miserable because we know that all this levity is basically fake and is horrible.
Yeah.
Imagine if Disney made that film. The same storyline, the same everything else. The colors would be brighter, the music would be nicer, like all of those darker moments would just not quite go as low.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of the power of what these two things can do to your story. If you can kind of harness how you want your story to feel, the tone, and what the message of your story is, the theme, then, as we say, coupling those things together, you can really create an impactful story that really resonates and lasts with the reader forever.
Yeah, exactly. And just quickly to add on something there, I would say as well, if you are struggling a little bit, not quite sure like what your theme or what your tone is, but you know kind of the story that you want to tell, which I would argue would mean you probably already kind of do know, but like if it, you know, if you are struggling, just do the exercise that Dan just did. Just be like, okay.
It's worth as well, just sort of adding as we
this
round
is
off.
the idea that I've got.
That oftentimes
what happens?
genre
what would it look like if Scorsese made it? What would it look like if Disney made it? What would it look like if it was made in the 80s? If it was, and just go through a couple of different ideas,
just makes sense.
And like,
so if you know what your genre
start to realize where it fits.
It actually shortcuts quite a lot of the work in working out what the common themes can be, and then how you tone that. Because again, I was talking to someone about writing horror this week, and they're asking for advice, and the best I can give really is like horror is just an atmosphere. Like you can write stories with horror elements, as many people do, with, you know, monsters and sort of gory bits, but sort of true horror as a genre is very much that oppressive, bleak, like you just don't feel safe as you're reading it, like, you know, bad shit's happening, and that it's a possibility that things won't get better. And so it's just that gloomy feel. So everything that you do with setting, everything you do with character, everything you do with plot serves that genre to create that feeling, to round it up and make a horror book.
Yeah, I apologize for laughing. When you said like that feeling and you're not sure if it's going to get better, my brain instantly went to just sitting and watching your kids' school play.
Yeah.
It's that, but like instead of like time never ending, your life's probably gonna.
Although saying that, I'm at the point where Bailey's still just young enough that it's cute. Although, oh my God, like some of the singers they pick for some of those.
I'm telling you, year 5, year 6, it gets painful because none of the kids want to do it, but they still have to. And you're just like, oh no. Yeah. And we as parents are made to watch this. No one's winning here, guys.
Bam. So any more words on theme and tone?
I don't think so. I think we've covered it. Just I would just say, sorry, I just did a little fish as I was trying to say something. It made me laugh. I would say I agree with what you said about like look to your genre, lean to your genre for ideas, because it will dictate it for you. And maybe you want to play a little bit against that, in the sense of maybe you do want to write a romance that has like a bleaker feel. Well, it can have a bleaker feel as long as like that bleakness dissipates towards the like must have a happy ending kind of thing. So like there is room to play, but also like don't just try not to piss people off with their expectations being ruined. But yeah, I think that's pretty much good. I think it's good.
We'll find out in the comments, won't we?
What do I know? I've got a headache and burnt tits. I can't make a fucking coffee. Like,
if that's
I
not
don't know why people are listening to me.
some way the intro.
Oh yeah. What do I know?
let's bring this around. So I do think that we'll definitely have to dive into the genre in the coming weeks.
Yes,
just it's such a huge thing, especially bouncing back to, you know, Sarah's revelation this week. I think genre help is massive.
Sarah.
Congrats, Sarah. But yeah, we'll round it off there for this week. So from us at Activated Authors, we have a 30-day free trial. So if you want to jump into the community, meet myself, meet Sam, and this isn't one of those like things where we're just like we advertise it, but we're not in it. Like we are in it like every day, every fucking day.
You can't get me out of it, mate.
You'll get access to the Zoom sprints. You'll get access. We're doing an Ask Me Anything on Monday live that people can jump in and join. A whole host of extra stuff. So if you want to check that out, that's at activatedauthors.com, and you can find everything you need there. And yeah, just a word to the people that are currently going through really dramatic, currently going through Nano. Through Nano. We've got people smashing it in Nano. So keep up the good work. We've got a couple of people that are trailing a little bit, but I am more than confident that they can smash it and just catch up. Life happens and life can be a bitch. But yeah, just a big well done to everyone on how far they've come so far, and keep on pushing.
We believe in you. You can do it.
We believe in you. Anything else from you, Sam? Before I go to the spiel.
I completed it in 11 days with 2 days off. So
what's your excuse?
What I'm saying is, today is the 10th. You could start it today and still complete in time. So don't fall prey to your own excuses. Get it done.
Yeah. Boom. Well. Boom. A massive thank you to you, the listeners, for tuning in. We appreciate you and the time you spend with us every week. And as always, if you're looking to level up your writing and activate your author career, then head on over to activatedauthors.com to find out all about our community, our resources, and everything else that we've got going on. One more time from myself and from Sam. We will see you next week.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.
We also teach about public speaking.
Activate your energy.